What's up, everyone? I've got a couple of different inexpensive GPS quadcopters with HD cameras and similar features that I took up and, in the air and flew them around, put them to the test, and I'm going to tell you about the Bugs 2 SE. This is the newest and latest Bugs 2 model, and then this is the JJRC X7, also known as the C-Fly Smart. It's basically the same drone, sold under two names. A lot of these things will do that. Even this one will. You'll find this one sold under the Force One brand and things like that as well. But hey, how do these things compare to each other and some of these other brushless GPS drones under $200 that I've been flying, like the SJRC F11 or the Bugs 5W, Bugs 3 Pro? Hey, I've flown all of these things, and I'm going to tell you which one I think is the best. So let's start with this guy, the JJRC X7 Smart or C-Fly Smart. A couple of things that I like. I actually kind of like this different design. It's not just kind of the standard X pattern. It kind of helps you tell the front from the back when it's in the air. The camera is on ISO, so in theory that should help with Jello. In theory, right? It does have some good modes. There is a orbit, which actually is more of a circle mode. I tested that out. The follow me works well. It is GPS. It does return to home. And the flight time in this thing, I got just over 20 minutes. It says 23. That's legit. That's pretty good. Now, things I don't like, the camera. I've had C-Fly drones before, and they are notorious for a couple of things. And one is their cameras have been traditionally pretty poor, and I'm going to go ahead and say that is the case with this one. I've had a few different C-Fly drones, and this is probably the best of the crew. This is the C-Fly Dream, also known as the JJRC X9. It has a 2-axis gimbal, an actual gimbal, which is something I wish this had. But again, the camera here is the downfall. So while you can get this from C-Fly or you can get this from JJRC, like this, also called the X9, as well as the Dream, neither one of these have good cameras. And I think the camera is the most important part of the drone. If you disagree with me, then heck, this is a heck of a drone. So is this one then, right? But I use drones for taking pictures and videos. That's what I prefer to do unless I'm flying a race drone. These are not race drones, not to be confused at all. So the camera quality is really what's holding this thing back, right? They did a nice job of designing everything else, but the camera. The app itself could use some refinements, spelling, grammar. It just ends up being a little bit confusing. You got to kind of poke around and figure things out, but it is doable and it does work. Now, this drone wasn't nearly as stable as the Bugs 2 SE, which is the other drone that I'm really going to compare it to today.
So let's take a look at some onboard footage from the C-Fly or JJRC Smart X7 drone. You can see some props in there. I don't really like that. It is just really shaky. Those ISOs, they kind of help with Jello, but they end up being a little bit too loose, and we get a lot of shakiness. Actually, we still get Jello because it's bouncing around a little bit too much. You just should have some more stable footage. Now here, I do like the fact that I can tilt the camera angle down and then back up. That makes for some really nice shots. But again, I see that shakiness all over the place. GPS does a good job of holding it against the wind, but it just is not fantastic. Now here, we're doing a little bit of follow me as I go down the path, and it does a good job of following, so I give it that. Definitely a bonus. The other mode they have is orbit. We're going to switch to the app mode so you can kind of see what it looks like. You select orbit, and instead of really doing an orbit, it actually is just going to spin 360 degrees. So, not a true orbit, but, definitely a neat feature.
So let's talk about this Bugs 2 SE. I really like this silver design. It looks nice. Now, I've flown pretty much every single Bugs they've ever put out, from the different models of the Bugs 3s, the different models of the Bugs 2s, the Bugs 5s. Apparently, they've got the Bugs 4 coming out, which they made in collaboration with SJRC, and I've flown that drone too. So anyway, let's talk about the Bugs 2 SE. The camera here is probably one of the better cameras that you can find on one of these drones. Now, that said, it is not electronically stabilized. It is not on a gimbal. It is not on ISO. So it does have some flaws. You are going to get some jello. You're going to get some distortion around the horizon. That is consistent with all of these drones. All of these drones that I have here behind me, they don't have electronic image stabilization. And for me, that's kind of a deal breaker. I need smooth video. Now, if you're taking pictures and only pictures, you can kind of get away with that, but again, I like these things for taking video. Pictures is kind of second. Let's talk about some of the features. It is a GPS drone like the other one I talked about, so you get to return home. It does have follow me, does have a true orbit mode, works really well. This drone is a lot more stable than really pretty much anything behind me. The exception is probably the Hubsan 501. Now that is also a pretty solid brushless motor drone with some different features. But this is probably my favorite. It's fast and it's stable and it looks good. It takes decent video and decent pictures.
All right, so let's take a look at the onboard video from the Bugs 2 SE. I just think it looks a little bit more crisp. The colors seem a little bit more true. But again, it is not electronically stabilized, so as the drone moves around, and I'm moving around quite a bit, the camera moves around with it. Now I'm flying a little bit fast for probably what I should, because this is a faster drone, and I kind of enjoy zipping around and doing some quicker maneuvers that, you know, I just could not do with that JJRC drone. So I'm kind of flying it around. You can see when you're flying it around, zipping, doing some quick turns. There's that drone I'm talking about. When you do those quick turns, it just does not move smoothly. So you kind of get some of that shakiness in the video, which, you know, I just don't like. And I'll give you a couple of different options if you're looking for something that is more stable. Now you can see that drone, that JJRC, just kind of moving around. It should be a little bit more stable. This thing is pretty rock solid, even in the wind. Now here, I'm going to show you the follow me mode. Now we're looking at the Bugs Go app, which I do really like. This app is refined. This is pretty close to, I shouldn't say pretty close. It is the closest to a DJI Go app. The DJI Go app is really well refined, and this was definitely patterned after that. So you can see I'm doing the follow me mode. It is in fact following me. There is, of course, a waypoints mode for both of these drones, but I do not suggest you try either on either one of these drones. Now we're going to go to the point of interest or an orbit, and this is more of a true orbit where the drone is actually kind of moving in that orbit or circle pattern. It's kind of a smaller one. You can still adjust the altitude as it is flying, which I'm going to do right here, make it go a little bit higher, and you can kind of see, you know, the horizon. Again, camera is okay, still a little bit shakier than I would prefer, but of the two, I think this one looks a little bit crisper, and I would go with this over the JJRC, but that is really your preference, and that is up to you.
So if I have to look at these, really the only advantages this one here has is the longer flight time. I got about 15 minutes on my Bugs 2. This one I can also adjust the camera angle up and down. So it does move up and down here. It's on a servo motor, which is kind of nice. That is a good feature, but again, the quality coming out of this camera is pretty darn poor. Now, if I look at all these other drones that I have with me, there are three that kind of stand apart, right? I like this. This is the JJ Pro or JJRC version of the MJX Bugs 5W. Like that C-Fly that I was just holding, this one has a camera that can tilt up and down. It is on ISOs here, so that helps quite a bit. GPS drone has pretty much all these same flight modes: follow me, orbit, return home, things like that. So pretty good here. I even put my Osmo Pocket on this drone for some really good footage. Then I have this guy here. This is the Hubsan 501. It is a GPS drone. You get kind of all those same features. It does have a faster mode, a lot like the Bugs 2. It does have 5.8 gigahertz FPV, so my FPV feed is actually an analog signal, which I kind of like because I can fly with goggles and I don't have to use my phone, right? There's a screen right in the controller. It tends to be a little bit more expensive, and Hubsan isn't really known for their quality control. But hey, let's be honest, really none of these companies are. That brings us to this. I really like it. I'm going to go ahead and say probably my favorite of these drones. this, maybe the 5W. Hard to say. It just is, you know what, I'm kind of partial to MJX. I think they do make a higher quality product. Their Go app, their Bugs Go app, is really well designed, much better designed than pretty much all of the other apps. So if you're looking for something, I'd go with this. Now, a lot of people are asking, hey, that MJX Bugs 4W is coming out. What about that? Well, from what I understand, it's this, right? This is the SJRC F11, which, you know what, I was really excited about until I got those pictures and the video back. It does a lot of things really well. It's well designed. The app is excellent. The motors are good. The GPS could use some work, actually. Maybe that has more to do with the way that it's calibrated. That's an easy fix, I believe. But the camera, again, on this drone is the downfall. Hopefully MJX has addressed that with their version, the 4W, but time will tell. I'm sure I'll have that one just like I've had all the other MJX drones, so we'll put it to the test when we get it. So really, what is the answer, right? If you want an inexpensive drone to take pictures and video, then really you kind of have two options, right? You can go with the DJI Spark, which is a little bit more expensive. You're going to drop down $400 for one of those, and that's double what all of these are. So you don't want to spend $400. How about less than $100? It's this, the Ryze Tello. Why can Ryze put out an $80 drone with electronic image stabilization, and these guys can't do it for $200? I don't know. Now, granted, this is a much smaller drone and it does have brushed motor, so that is a big limitation, but the camera on this is far superior to the camera on any of these drones I'm talking about behind me. Why can't we do this on one of these drones? The first company that does that and sells it for about 150 bucks is going to be king. Now, will it be MJX, JJRC, C-Fly, Hubsan? Who knows? But the first one to do that will win this battle. As far as I'm concerned, you don't want these drones. You want a Spark, right? And if you don't want one of those, you want one of these. And if you don't care about video, then, well, have at it, because these guys are pretty much all the same with a few small exceptions. Hey, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. I know I'm kind of ragging on these cameras quite a bit. I think they should be better. I know that these cameras in my cell phone and your cell phone, and pretty much every cell phone out there, is a superior camera. And I also know that they don't cost $1 million to make, right? And thanks for watching. If you're looking for more information on these drones, or really any drones, make sure you check us out on halfchrome.com. And we're also writing for DroneDJ.com as well. So check us out in either one of those two places. You won't be disappointed. Happy flying.